What is urban gaze gardening?
So I was working with my cousin on this company called Inward Gaze Garden. So like gazing inward, introspection. My friend Kim was involved. She's a healer out of San Francisco. And so the idea that we had was to have just organic gardening, farming programs for veterans. And so we were going to sell at Fresno has this big football or baseball stadium. And they had it's like kind of farm to table market, I think every Friday or something like that, or in the summer. So we were there. We got plugged in quick, dude. So that's why I'm like motivated, because I know when you put your mind to something, like everything just lines up and people come together and you make,
You see it happening in the future?
For sure, dude. Maybe not. I've kind of left that idea behind. Like I took from it a lot. I learned a lot about different things, the process. At the same time, though, I was in nursing school, which, it was a pretty hectic schedule. So I let that go, of course, right? Because my education took priority, graduation. But no, I see it for sure, dude. I see it happening. With Grassfed, for sure, dude. All these, it's along the same lines, right? Wellness and empowering people to optimize their lives, right? And spread the examples. So yeah, I wanted to do sound healing, different healing arts modalities that I was involved with at the time and still practice a few of them right now myself.
What are the premises of sound healing?
So sound healing is, in the way we're going to do it with Kim, she has these crystal bowls, which is not the original instrument. I think the Tibetans used brass bowls, and they still do. I don't know how far along, or how far later crystal, the crystal version was introduced, but it's still the same tune, it's the same note. And so there's 7 of them, and you've heard of the chakras or the energy centers in the body. Each one is attuned to each chakra. So you get into like this intense, like super high meditation almost immediately. Even now, maybe that happened with my body over time with practice, because you are working out a muscle, right? The relaxation response. So whenever I have a bowl in the van too, now whenever I play, I can just get into a nice meditative zone. And that's supposed to just align, open up your energy centers. Everything is vibrating, right, at some certain frequency. So these tunes are meant to kind of align you and balance out your energy. And there's science behind it. It's probably 8,000-year-old technology. So, yeah.
Nice. What about color healing?
Yeah,
you mentioned that the other day.
Right, yeah, color therapy. I think that's certain colors, like red, right, evoke certain emotions, maybe emergency or anger, or, some kind of alert. I think that's why they use them for stop signs. I had a friend, an Australian girl I met here in Belize, actually, who was into that. Blue is supposed to be soothing. You paint your room blue. Yellow does some. I'll have to look up yellow, because that's what Paul's apartment is, right? All yellow.
Yeah, the future studio.
Yes. What else? Yeah, so just all these things, nutrition, veterans especially, right? That's where my heart is, being a vet myself, coming through the process of reintegration after combat. There's a certain way to do it that's right and like life-giving, I think, and healing. And then there's a way that I think the current system right now is set up. The way they're doing it is not good. No bueno, in my opinion. Keeping people stuck with pharmaceuticals in this place in their life, that's just not good. Slew of side effects people are dealing with, including suicidality and even worse, depression and anxiety, stuff like that. It's like, we know this stuff. We know that the science behind antidepressants is flawed, right?
So what's a typical scenario when someone comes back? They're not, I mean, the reintegration has to be...
Yeah, it depends. So you go through a series of classes once you come back. Let's say you deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan, somewhere else. You do reintegration classes, like you go over, okay, like your physiology is probably different depending on where you served, what area. So yeah, you learn about the common post-traumatic stress symptoms, like irritability or being on edge, feeling tense, having flashbacks, overreacting to stimuli, to noise, typical like stuff throughout the day, right? Like laughter, a group of friends laughing or something could trigger like memories of, a market, roadside, or car bomb or something where you just, the laughter, the sounds of friends making noise, just immediately bring up those memories of, whatever, children, women. This is just an example, right? Maimed people, yelling, crying. And then that throws you into like a mood for the rest of the day, right? So things like that, like learning to listen to the body, kind of tame the stress response that's overreactive by working out the parasympathetic nervous system, having that be more of a default than the anxiety or tense state. So these are all things that are backed by science. I'm super interested in them as a psych nurse. These are the things I want to keep learning about, teaching about.
So, back up. You were in Iraq, correct? When did you go?
Yeah, so I was there twice, actually. I did 2 tours. The first was in 2006 for about 13 months, and then the second one was in 2007 for about 15 months into 2008.
So when you got back, that's when the reintegration started, and how is your process?
When you get back the first time, you still go through reintegration, first deployment. This happens. I did good. I think, a lot of us still dealt with, our struggles of reintegration, coming back to normalcy after, intense scenarios in Iraq. Some guys went to drinking, started abusing alcohol. A couple got out of the army. I have a first sergeant who actually killed himself. But I think because just the problems that he was having in his life, on top of just dealing with, we're not ready for war, man. As you can feel, I think there's no preparation for what goes on in war. I don't know. It's a moral conflict in a way. And then so what was the question? Yeah, I did 2 tours, and then I came back, and once I got discharged, then I started dealing with some nightmares, flashbacks, stuff like that. Discovered sound healing with Kim in San Francisco, and started going with her, doing sessions, feeling the difference, just more calm, being able to control my mind, which in turn, allowed me to control my body. Then a little bit down the road, started doing farming, gardening in San Francisco in the middle of like this oasis in the middle of like concrete jungle, people shooting up outside the gate. Yeah, not a good neighborhood.
Were you able to see any change in the people when they, were shooting up outside, for instance? Were they affected by seeing plants and seeing gardens and seeing happy people, or?
Yeah, for sure. That's why they all, I think, were drawn to this peaceful oasis in the middle of the city. And my friend who was one of the founders, you can tell stories of several people who came and got healing from the plants there, having their own plot or just helping out. Just getting back in touch with nature, what we're supposed to be doing.
Does he have a blog or anything?
He does. Yeah, his name's Robert Ford, and I think you can probably Google like Robert Ford Peace Garden maybe.
Cool. We'll find a link and attach it.
Cool.
That'll be cool. Very nice. So was sound healing on the VA's list of things? Like when you got back, were they helping you? Were they talking you through anything?
No, so they really didn't offer any like complementary alternative modalities or anything like that. They treated me with the typical, drugs, pharmaceuticals, control the symptoms, which I can appreciate, right? I mean, I think medicine, drugs have their place. Allopathic medicine definitely saves lives and helps a lot of people. But it can be a crutch too if you're just kind of coping with medicating, whether it's legal or illegal substance. You're not able to make the progress of getting better, without them.
What kind of things were you taking?
Oh, you name it, man. I've probably been on it. So it's a few different antidepressants, anxiety, benzodiazepines, anti-anxiety medication, a few medications that they were giving people for nightmares that it's supposed to kind of bring down your heart rate and keep you calmer throughout the night.
So how did it feel later as a nurse being in that?
So I knew going through that first of all, I didn't want to stay on them long term because just the way I felt on them, just losing like who I was, really. My empathy went down to zero. Like normally I'm a pretty caring person, care about other people. I just felt like I didn't care about anybody else. I felt emotionless almost, just numb. Even suicidal more so at some points. Like worrying, because when if you're going through the depression or PTSD, anxiety, your brain's not working correctly, right? You're not able to use this executive center to like think of a better future. Like, oh, I can get through this. I can get through this. And I think some of the drugs just kind of make that worse. And I believe that's why we're seeing a rise in suicides. I mean, you give a cocktail that's making somebody more suicidal, more depressed, more lowers their risk aversion, so they're doing more dangerous things. That's a deadly combination. So why not do something like get into a meditation program, mindfulness, use herbs, take some tea that's kind of doing the same things as some of these drugs, or is doing the same thing instead without the side effects. Just makes more sense.
So when did you do nursing? How long after
you
got back was that?
I started my general ed after I got out in 2008. I took about 5 years to get my nursing degree, which is typical. You do a couple years of GE, and then the program itself, the bachelor's program, it's 3 years.
And you have the degree now?
I do, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's cool.
Yeah, so and then I went into, so I felt better, right? I felt like I was improving. Went into mental health nursing, worked for the VA for a little while, close to 2 years. Also worked for the county mental health department, and then did a short stint in hospice palliative care nursing.
You like that?
It was good. It was difficult work too, but it's something I was always drawn to in that stage of life, such a mysterious stage of our lives. I just wanted to be with those people during their transition. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good.
It would be fun. It's that's what a lot of the MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, they're starting to do a lot of psilocybin work with those exact patients who are on hospice, who are nearing the end of their current stage.
Yeah.
it's amazing to see the insights and the awareness that people can gain to help the transition. Times are changing.
Long overdue, but yeah, they are.
So is there some sort of holistic nursing? I remember you had mentioned something
Yeah,
about
there
that.
is. So because I was interested in these healing arts, right, like meditation, sound healing, even like nutrition, aromatherapy, falls under like the, I guess, complementary modalities. There's this organization in the States called the American Holistic Nurses Association. So I met a previous president who's from Fresno named Lucia, a nurse as well. So she was like, hey, you should start a chapter. It's a cool, check out this. That was like a little seed she planted, because maybe a few months later I had probably 20, 25 members. We had meetings a couple times a month, inviting guest speakers to come share about their modality, their therapy that they do. So yeah, that was mainly, I did it in a kind of, I guess it was selfish too, because these were all things I was interested in, right, to enrich my program. But it turned around. A lot of people enjoyed it. And
I think that's the way things are supposed to be done. Selfish may not be the right word, but you're doing what you want to do, and like Alan Watts says, people will follow pretty soon. Like, oh shit, we have 20 people here. It's nice. Is there anything like that in Belize?
There's not, no. So they want to expand, though, into Central America.
There you go.
So yeah.
Plant the seed.
Right. Yeah, I have a good friend who's finishing up his last semester. He's working in a mobile mental health clinic in Belize City right now.
Cool. What's the system like here? Is it similar in the States as far as mental health goes?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. And I think the system, Western medicine, is spread down here. Even being like going to Guatemala, Colombia, it's all the same. People are turning away from their roots, indigenous, natural medicine from the earth. And, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's kind of weird going into the grocery store here and seeing a little Mayan kid taking his Flintstone vitamin, or he's coming in and buying Advil, or it's like something's not right here. But I think it's turning back. I think there's, I don't know, not people say I'm overly optimistic, but I think even young people are starting to say, ooh, I feel better when I take that, why not?
Right,
so I think it's all turning back. And having places like this, I'm not sure how many acres, but thank you. As we see in memory of Kin Duploy, thank you, Mr. Kin.
Right.
This is an awesome place.
This is heaven on earth here.
Very, very cool.
Now, I think if, like, the more people see that the system is failing people, and, I mean, come on, pharmaceuticals are killing more, it's like the second leading cause of death, I think. So is just medical care in the West in general, So you show that to somebody, and then you show them an alternative that's better.
I think it starts with people like you, because, I mean, I've never been through any, I'm grateful enough to never have had any bad, like, circumstances like that in my life. But you have, and you saw it, and you saw the option, and you jumped out of it. So I think it takes people like you and people like your friend who are like, well, we've seen this side of it. Why don't we do something better?
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I think it's nice to see.
You too. It's you're inspiring what you're doing. This is, I can picture Grassfed is. I mean, it will have an impact worldwide, and it's so desperately needed right now.
I'm really excited just because like you said, it almost seems selfish. It's like I sat in my apartment, I had stopped going to college classes, and I said, well, this herbalism stuff sounds cool. So does this plant-based culinary stuff. Well, so does this, like essential oils or this or that. So does this yoga stuff. And now I'm here, and I know people who have specialized and spent their life in these entire things, like learning from Santiago, the agriculture side of things without any chemicals, growing what's supposed to grow here. From Mary, so you're saying, oh, I'll be right back. Let me run out and pick something out of the garden. Oh, we're gonna use this spice today, or this, and it's
at her fingertips. That's cool. Yeah,
it's amazing. Life is a blessing.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. So, what were you studying when you started? What was your?
I was just
major?
taking general classes.
Oh, okay.
I
Nice.
only made it through half of the first semester, and I started watching a lot of documentaries, and I lost interest in school, and I kind of started. I wouldn't call it arguing, but most people who know me may say, Klayton, yes, that was arguing. But it wasn't arguing. It was more of bringing up how I thought. And the teachers didn't want to hear that I was questioning kind of the mainstream thought process. It's kind of the typical, as Terrence McKenna said, I stood up and yelled bullshit one time. And I was true.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. And it was just a stage in my life, and I think from that point, everything just shifted and kind of dominoed it into, well, gotta do something. I'd already failed my personal training certification one time. It's like, well, I should try it again. So I studied and studied and studied. Well, guess what? I failed it again. Third time I passed it. But,
I remember the day.
Yeah,
it was cool.
It's nice. Like my mom says, you did it, no one can take it from you.
Yeah.
So, it's done. And there's some continuing education credits I'll have to get within the next, I think, like 18 months or so, which is cool because then I can dive into some other modality and learn that. I'm going to do some sort of massage or stretching work and get some proper education in that. I'm also taking a holistic remedies course, so that's what I'm excited about. My mom sent it.
Where are you doing that course?
It's called Smart Majority. It's some website, and at first I was like, yeah, maybe a waste of time. I scrolled through it and it all looked really cool. So
Sweet. Yeah, I want to check it out. Sounds good.
I'll send you the link. I'll put the link on here. Yeah, it's not that I don't like education. I just don't like school, structured education. Show up at this time.
No, I feel the same.
Do this. But if I can sit up till 3 or 4 in the morning and work on something and drink coffee all night, I love it. I learn better that way than any other way.
Yeah, I don't think the traditional university route is for everybody. Nice. What is that?
I'm not sure.
A hawk? Some kind?
It's big.
Yeah, it is.
We're on top of a fire lookout tower. How many feet up do you think this is?
I would say probably 70 feet, maybe.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, we're pretty high.
So long now. This is Eli. You can find him on Team Grassfed's page at wearegrassfed.com. Thank you, Mr. Eli.
Thank you, Klayton.
Talk to you soon. See you, everybody.